Man, Trump is not playing with Iran. Keep in mind, just a few years ago, U.S. leaders were meeting with Iranian leaders saying, "How much free money do you want?" while Iranians were in the streets screaming, "Death to America." Now we've got drones taking out Iranian leaders while Iranians are still in the streets screaming, "Death to America." Seems like they're going to scream "Death to America" no matter what we do. The New York Times reports, Iran's top security and intelligence commander was killed early Friday in a drone strike at Baghdad International Airport that was authorized by President Trump, American officials said. The commander, Major General Qassim Suleimani, who led the powerful Quds Force of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, was killed along with several officials from Iraqi militias backed by Tehran when an American MQ-9 Reaper drone fired missiles into a convoy that was leaving the airport. General Suleimani was the architect of nearly every significant operation by Iranian intelligence and military forces over the past 2 decades, and his death was a staggering blow for Iran at a time of sweeping geopolitical conflict. The strike was also a serious escalation of Mr. Trump's growing confrontation with Tehran, one that began with the death of an American contractor in Iraq in late December. Now, I have to confess, I don't trust politicians at all. I don't trust Democrat politicians. I don't trust Republican politicians. The sort of politician I would trust would probably never be elected. So I'm always suspicious of everything our leaders do. When I read about a drone strike on an Iranian general, I immediately start wondering how much of it was due to the potential threat to America and how much of it was simply buddying up to Saudi Arabia. But this guy does sound like a pretty dangerous dude. In Iran, the leadership convened an emergency security meeting, and the country's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, issued a statement calling for 3 days of public mourning and then retaliation. His departure to God does not end his path or his mission, the statement said. But a forceful revenge awaits the criminals who have his blood and the blood of the other martyrs last night on their hands. United States officials were braced for potential Iranian retaliatory attacks, possibly including cyber attacks and terrorism on American interests and allies. Israel, too, was preparing for Iranian strikes. Some of the country's most popular tourist sites, including the ski resort at Hermon, were closed, and the armed forces went on alert, officials said. Yes, if we know anything about Iranian leaders, it's that they will jump at the chance to attack Israel. A U.S. drone just bombed our general. Attack the Jews! From the start of the Syrian civil war, General Soleimani was one of the chief leaders of an effort to protect President Bashar al-Assad of Syria, an important Iranian ally, that brought together disparate militias, national security forces, and regional powers, including Russia, in recent years. But that was far from the only front he operated on. American officials accused General Soleimani of causing the deaths of hundreds of soldiers during the Iraq War when he provided Iraqi insurgents with advanced bomb-making equipment and training. They also say he has masterminded destabilizing Iranian activities that continue throughout the Middle East and are aimed at the United States, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. General Soleimani was actively developing plans to attack American diplomats and service members in Iraq and throughout the region, the Pentagon said in a statement. General Soleimani and his Quds Force were responsible for the deaths of hundreds of American and coalition service members and the wounding of thousands more. It did not elaborate on the specific intelligence that led them to carry out General Soleimani's killing. The highly classified mission was set in motion after the American contractor's death on December 27th during a rocket attack by an Iranian-backed militia, a senior American official said. In killing General Soleimani, Mr. Trump took an action that Presidents George W. Bush and Barack Obama had rejected, fearing it would lead to war between the United States and Iran. While many Republicans said that the president had been justified in the attack, Mr. Trump's most significant use of military force to date, critics of his Iran policy called the strike a reckless unilateral escalation that could have drastic and unforeseen consequences that could ripple violently throughout the Middle East. Since the New York Times quoted a statement by the Department of Defense, let's go ahead and read it. It's short. At the direction of the president, the U.S. military has taken decisive defensive action to protect U.S. personnel abroad by killing Qassim Suleimani, the head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps Quds Force, a U.S. designated foreign terrorist organization. General Soleimani was actively developing plans to attack American diplomats and service members in Iraq and throughout the region. General Soleimani and his Quds Force were responsible for the deaths of hundreds of American and coalition service members and the wounding of thousands more. He had orchestrated attacks on coalition bases in Iraq over the last several months, including the attack on December 27th, culminating in the death and wounding of additional American and Iraqi personnel. General Soleimani also approved the attacks on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad that took place this week. This strike was aimed at deterring future Iranian attack plans. The United States will continue to take all necessary action to protect our people and our interests wherever they are around the world. So Iran is in a very awkward position. The Ayatollah called for retaliation, but does he really want to mess with people who have drones flying around shooting missiles at Iranian leaders? I doubt it. But if he doesn't retaliate, he looks like a total coward. I mean, killing General Soleimani would be like some foreign nation blowing up the director of the CIA. You just can't let that slide. But what can you do? Oh, we'll attack the Jews. We'll see what happens. The Ayatollah already gave a time frame, 3 days. He's got 3 days to come up with something that helps him save face but doesn't get him killed. He'd better hope that some powerful ally comes to his aid. Otherwise, things are not looking good for Iran.